Cairo, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of day or evening that it is where you are, I pray that your mind, your body, your spirit are all poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. I was reflecting a little earlier on my early religious experience as a child in my family. I was raised in a Christian household, at least nominally anyway. And what I mean is that we prayed in the name of Jesus. We went to church on holidays. We buried the dead in the Christian way. If anybody asked us, I'm pretty sure everybody in my family would have said that they were Christians. But when it comes to a real understanding of what Christianity is, what it believes, the cultural context of what Christianity comes out of and what it's trying to help the people to achieve, I don't think that we were that deep into it, right? And that's why I say we were nominal Christians, And as I grew and matured, some of the gaps and the weaknesses or missing links in Christianity became more glaring, right? They became more evident to me. And so I naturally started to seek out guidance in other places. I was drawn to Islam. I was even about to convert to Islam when I was in Africa. The people showed me a level of humanity, a kind of love that I had just never experienced before. And I thought it was because of Islam, and I would have converted. I'll be honest with you. I would have converted, but it's just that I had gone to a mosque, and in this mosque they showed me the place where they would take the slaves. When they captured people, they brought them to the mosque and they would chain them to a tree and they would beat them. And the people who didn't die were the ones who were able to get on the ships and leave Africa. And they did all this in the name of Islam in the mosque. And so that for me is a kind of contradiction that my mind just couldn't reconcile. And so I knew that there was some kind of a contradiction that didn't match. The people were beautiful and they were saying that they were Muslim, but Islam was brought to them and imposed upon them in the most heinous and inhumane and disgusting way. So I couldn't accept that, right? But I continued to seek, and I dipped and dabbled in Baha'i, and I practiced yoga pretty extensively, and I meditated, and I got into martial arts, and I was pretty steeped in Black Gnosticism for a while. And, of course, I went to any kind of a spiritual function that was happening in my area, right? If the Nubian Islamic Hebrews were doing something, I went. If the Nation of Islam was doing something, I went. There was a powwow nearby, I went. The Tibetan monks were in town, and there was some kind of a guru from here or a spiritual leader from there. I would go and I would absorb all of those nuggets of wisdom and beauty, and I loved it. It was fantastic. But none of those things were compelling enough for me to commit, right? It wasn't until I was introduced to Orisha lifestyle that I found a path that really spoke to my condition, really gave me a sense of connection and a sense of belonging that was consistent with my family. It was consistent with my ancestry. It was consistent with my culture. It was consistent with my personal values. I could really, truly see myself in Orisha lifestyle. And so I didn't hesitate to make the plunge and go deeper and deeper and deeper into this tradition. And when I look at the differences between what has happened in my life and the way my life progressed as a result of practicing Orisha compared to what I experienced in other kinds of practices, what I can say is that it's less contradictory, is less complicated to practice Orisha for myself as an African American, right? Because what I was finding was that, just like the example I gave with Islam, every other tradition had these contradictions, and I had to compensate for those contradictions, to the point that the compensation became more complex than the spiritual practice itself. And so I just ended up with contradictions and complications and contradictions and complications and contradictions and complications. And it just became like a whole spider's web, and I was entangled in more and more confusion, which has nothing to do with spiritual development, right? So what I want to do today is I want to show you how to approach your spiritual journey with clarity, with purpose. And as we go through this conversation, what my real objective is to introduce you to educational planning within the Orisha Lifestyle Academy as a spiritual journey. It's kind of like planning a trip. We're going to go to Africa. We're going to go to Spain. We're going to go to Brazil. We need to plan our itinerary. We need to map this journey. Okay. This is what the educational plan is all about. It's about mapping your spiritual journey and helping you recognize these are all of the different things that you need in order to make the journey peacefully and reach your destination in one piece and with fulfillment. All right. Now, if you don't know, this is the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, and I'm your instructor, Obafemi Origuwa. So the first thing that I want you to address is the fact that you have to get clear about your needs before you can carry out any kinds of solutions. You got to make an assessment of what you truly need, right? Because your spiritual journey is not about convenience. It's not about what you want. It's not what's, trendy and, a temporary little bit of this, little bit of that, right? That's what I know from dipping and dabbling in Hinduism and Baha'i. Those things were based on wants, curiosities. They weren't addressing my deep-seated needs, though. Okay? So a certain amount of introspection, self-evaluation, and self-acceptance is absolutely necessary in order for you to avoid jumping to premature solutions and conclusions about your spiritual path. Okay? Errors in your journey, right? Picking the wrong path, picking a path that's just wrought with complications and contradictions, all that's going to do is contradict your destiny, and it's going to delay your capacity to attain the levels of fulfillment that you really are trying to accomplish, right? There's a level of authenticity. There's a level of fulfillment that can only come through your spiritual growth and your spiritual connection. Okay? Now, the next thing that I need you to really understand before we take this journey is that there's a huge difference between planning what to do and doing what has been planned. That's not the same thing. Planning what to do and doing what has been planned are radically different experiences, and they produce radically different outcomes. Okay? The better you can understand that difference, the more enriching your spiritual journey is going to be. All right. So like I said, the first thing is that when you come into contact with your needs, then you're going to make your decisions differently. Now, your needs as an individual are going to be as varied as, fingerprints. So that's something that you've got to go into personally and sit down and really get clear about, hey, what do I need? Let me be honest with myself. What do I need? Not what I want, not what's convenient, not what's cute. What do I need? That's something for you to sit with. One thing that I know from working with thousands and thousands of people, and I'm not exaggerating, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. In order to really get Orisha lifestyle, you need to understand Yoruba civilization. You don't need to become an anthropologist. You don't need to go and, go Indiana Jones on us and go, crawling through caverns and caves and turning over, mystic stones and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do all that, but you do need a basic overview of Yoruba civilization. You need a basic understanding of Yoruba indigenous knowledge systems. Because what you're going to find when you really get an understanding of the knowledge system overall and the civilization that it has produced, you're going to understand what holistic thinking, what systems thinking is all about. Okay? Because the organizing principles of Yoruba indigenous knowledge systems are defined. The thing that distinguishes them from so many other traditions is that the philosophical, cultural, ecological, economic, interpersonal, all of the different systems work together. They're interlocked. They're interdependent. So that you can't just extrapolate one part from the whole and keep it intact. A lot of times, people in the West, we're used to this extrapolating, this abstract thinking. For us, that's how our training has made us think that everything is. You can use modeling and motifs and just, for example, just say everything that's red has to do with, Shango. Everything that's yellow has to do with Oshun. Number 5 means this, and number 10, right? We extrapolate and we think that because you've seen this pattern in one place, it applies everywhere. And then we start matching that the Egyptian thing and the Hindu thing and the Native American thing. If it's yellow, it's all Oshun. And that's not Yoruba thinking. That will never work for Yoruba thinking. You just can't plug and play. Take things from one place and another and put it into another place just because they're the same color. No. It isn't that simple. Oh, this one is a trickster. Oh, this one is a love goddess. Oh, this one is a god of war. No, that's not how our system works. You may find those traits, but those definitions do not fit. And you're not going to grasp that until you get a good look and a basic understanding at Yoruba civilization as a whole. So that's the introduction first. You gotta start systems thinking. Okay, and within the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, the first course you need to take is the Intro to Yoruba Spirituality. My course, Intro to Yoruba Spirituality, is where you get a 4-part breakdown of Yoruba civilization and how Orisha lifestyle permeates every dimension of that civilization as a whole. From the living environment, to the family structure, to the settlement patterns, to the division of labor, all the way up to theological and philosophical principles. All of that is broken down. Divination, sacrifice, medicine, all of it is put into its cultural context so you understand how the spiritual tradition fits into the civilization as a whole. Because the spiritual tradition is intended to give advantage to people who are operating within that civilization, who are adhering to the Yoruba worldview. It's not just a religious principle that you can pull out of Yoruba thinking and then just drop off anywhere and it's going to work. It doesn't work that way. All right. So based on what you learn in the Intro to Yoruba Spirituality, then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to ask really well-informed questions and get a much better idea of what your true interests are. All right. So if you have not taken that course yet, but you're curious about Orisha lifestyle, then I encourage you to visit obafemio.com, go to classes, scroll down till you get to the Intro to Yoruba Spirituality. Enroll in that class right now, complete the class, take the course, and then you'll be able to start thinking about, okay, what does this mean to me? Where do I fall into what does this system make sense to me, right? Do I agree with this? Does that sound like a worldview that I would like to partake of? Okay. And more specifically, when it comes to your spiritual path, what I'd like you to contemplate is, after you've taken the intro, right? You can think about this now, but definitely go back to these questions after you take the intro. Are you more interested in a big picture understanding? Do you really want to know the whole, tapestry of the spiritual system, how it all fits together, what different things mean? Or do you want to practice? Are you more interested in getting your hands dirty? You want to put your hands on certain things. You want to know what you're going to do tomorrow morning. You want to know what you're going to wear. You want to know what you're going to say. You're going to know what to do with this and what to do with that. Okay, those are two different approaches that are essential to your practice of Orisha lifestyle. So within the academy, I have two learning tracks. You got track A and track B. Track A is intended to support you becoming a personal priesthood coach. All right. Now, this is an educational plan that is best for people who are top-down thinkers. Top-down thinkers are people, as I said, they like the big picture. They want to know how everything fits together. They want to know why everything exists. They want to know how these things go together, the dynamics, the patterns, okay, the possibilities. Are you going to help people to become healers? You're going to help people to solve their problems. You're going to help people become, successful in their business. You're going to help people with their family structure, right? If that's your intention, becoming a personal priesthood coach is ideal for you. Okay. That's a year-long certification program. It consists of 5 courses. Each course is 8 weeks long. You got the 16 essential traits of personal priesthood. It's the first course. That course is all about helping you get an inside-out understanding of what spirituality means from a Yoruba perspective. This is the architecture of spirituality, which you get in that course. The fundamentals of Orisha lifestyle is the second course. That's a course that gives you an overview of the theology. This is what the belief system is about. This is everything that we assume you know and understand about the religion and the tradition when you go and you do divination, when you make sacrifice, right? There's an assumption that you already know what we're talking about. When we say Orisha versus ancestors versus Egbe versus your Ori, the understanding is that you already know what those mean. The fundamentals of Orisha lifestyle is the course where you get that information. Then there's a course on daily devotion. That's a course that introduces you to the 7-day calendar, explains to you the process of creation according to Yoruba belief, and how you direct your prayers and your devotion for each of the 7 days of the week, as well as the structure and the format for how prayers are delivered in our tradition. The next class is healing modalities. That class introduces you to all the different methods of healing within our tradition, as well as the structure for healing. What are some of the underpinnings of our healing system? How we use different elements, how we use words and prayers and incantations, as well as different kinds of disciplines. People who specialize in bone setting, people who specialize in herbalism, people who specialize in water gazing, people who specialize in divination, right? To give you an understanding of it. This is the lay of the land when it comes to healing in our tradition. And then the 5th class is about implementation. That's mostly for people who know that they want to have some kind of a clinic or some kind of a temple. They want to offer some kind of one-on-one consulting service. I walk you through the process of setting up your business as a spiritual professional, right? All of those courses together are designed to help you follow a spiritual plan that will support other people reaching their goals. This is where you're going to act, and this works well if you are an astrologer or a yoga teacher or a nutritionist, and you know that Orisha lifestyle is your belief system, and you work with people who are also looking for a belief system, and this is how you can coach them through the process of establishing their own practice, right? You act as a coach, as a guide, as an advisor, with all this information as your framework and your background, right? All that falls into track A. Track B is for the Orisha devotee. All right. Now, this is for people who are more bottom-up thinkers. These are people who are more practical. These are like the troubleshooters. These are the ones who, like I said, they want to know, what am I going to do tomorrow? What time do I wake up tomorrow morning? What am I going to put on? What am I going to pray? What medicine am I going to take? What am I going to do about this? What prayer am I going to recite? How am I going to do my divination? What am I about my offerings and my sacrifices? Okay. In this process, you become a practitioner, basically. Track B is about establishing your practice, your day-to-day practice. Okay. And it promotes a level of practical mastery. Right? This is all the stuff that you need to know and all the stuff you need to be able to do. And as I said, master before you get initiated or before you receive a consecrated shrine. All right. So the thing that I want you to also know is that these two tracks are not mutually exclusive. I would actually recommend that if you want a really comprehensive and complete practice and understanding, you should start with one wherever you're most comfortable. And then once you've completed it, you use all of that knowledge and experience to complete the second portion. So if you're a bottom-up person, you want to establish your daily practice. Once you have done so, you should do so with the intent and the understanding that the best thing next is for you to get a big picture understanding. Right? So your practice is incomplete without a big picture understanding. Likewise, your big picture understanding and your coaching and advising is going to be incomplete without grounding it in a daily practice. So if you're a track A big picture person and you want to get into personal priesthood coaching, the best way to ground that coaching is by then becoming a practitioner. Establishing your practice and understanding what it looks like, from a practical, step-by-step, day-by-day kind of a grind. All right. So these two things together are what constitute the greatness of Orisha lifestyle. It is a completely unique offering. You're not going to find it anywhere else in the world. So well laid out, so user-friendly, and so explicitly designed to help you live the medicine that will heal your life by making the most meaningful contribution to the people who matter most in your life and helping those people to live the medicine that will in turn heal their lives. I invite you to visit obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com. Select an educational plan that works most for your condition and your desired outcomes, and let's start doing what we can do to fulfill our obligation and our opportunity to bring about the good condition here on earth